Good afternoon, adventurers. I hope we're having a lovely day here at Chessington today. My name is Brian and I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about our rays. Just before we do get started with today's talk though, I do have some rules for our sea life centre. So just while we're going around sea life today, we make sure we keep our hands out of any tanks, no tapping or banging on the windows, and if you are to take photos of our lovely village here, could we just make sure that we turn the flash off? Other than that, we can actually get started with the rays. So, I'm going to be talking about two different species of rays, and they are some of my personal favourites, so I'm happy to talk to anyone about them really. But we're going to be talking about the blue-spotted ribbon-tail ray and the blue-spotted mask ray. And they're quite interesting, so there's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. So we're going to go over how you can tell them apart to begin with. To tell our rays apart, let's start off with the ribbon tails. So the blue-spotted ribbon tail rays, they are the largest in the tank. They are kind of more of a circular shape, and they have the most bright and vibrant blue spots with two blue lines along their tail. And honestly, I think they're the prettiest rays I've seen in a while, so they're one of my favourites because of that. But we've also got the blue-spotted mask rays, which are, yes, they're a bit smaller, they're a bit more of a diamond shape, but their blue spots are not as vibrant, but also they have a little dark patch around their eyes, which actually suggests how they got their names in the first place. Which either they are just a tiny bit more boring than the other ones, I'm not going to lie to you, but they are still quite interesting in their own way. Because these guys come from the same area, the Indo-Pacific Ocean, mainly along the sandy flats and coral reefs, and this is because they're what we call ambush hunters. So typically, they just wait at the bottom and wait for the food to come to them. And they've got many adaptations of how this actually happens. One of them is that you might look at Ray and think it looks kind of weird, because its eyes are on the top and its mouth are on the bottom. And this is because it kind of sits on the floor, looking around, but then it makes sure that it kind of stays camouflaged to the floor. Now, with these guys it's a bit different, because they actually they don't really have the camouflage. They get the bright blue spots. It kind of reveals them straight away. So these blue spots are actually very important for them, because it's a type of camouflage called oppositism, which is basically where the animal wants to be seen. So, just one second. So yeah, oppositism is a type of camouflage where the animal wants to be seen, and it's like warning colours. So, you might see this in some other animals, like poison dart frogs, where they've got very bright colours, and that way they could kind of warn other people not to eat them because they are poisonous, or touch them because they are poisonous. With wasps, they've got bright black and yellow colours, and that way they can warn other animals that they've got a stinger on them, so you should not start a fight with them. However, they start fights with people, so I don't know what's going on with that. But with these guys, they have got venomous barb right at the end of their tail, which is something that they will only use as a form of self-defense. In fact, there's only very little amount of deaths to rays that have ever been recorded, and unfortunately one of them had to leave Steve Irwin. But typically rays will give you many warnings before they actually use their barb. One of them is just revealing their blue spots as much as possible. The other one is of course swimming away and making kind of dust clouds, or just swimming as far away from you as possible. And if you keep ignoring all of these signals, they've got no choice but to use their barbs. So they kind of only use it for defense. So you don't actually have to worry about getting attacked by these guys out in the wild, which actually is really useful and really helpful. Now, rays are quite cool animals because they are quite closely related to sharks. In fact, they have one thing in common with them, and that's a sixth sense called electroreception, which is kind of a bit weird because we've got our five senses, and then they've got an additional one where they can pick up electrical signals from RVs and brainwaves, and this actually helps them with finding food, because they simply just sit and wait for their food to come to them. With them waiting for food to come to them, it's actually quite handy because all of these, because there's a specific organ that they have for electroreception called the Ambulea Marantini, which basically just means that they just kind of can't see under their belly, so they use this to try and protect exactly where they are. Now, I think I've spoken a bit long about our rays, but there is another spotted animal in here that you might not be able to see. They typically like to hide behind the chests and the caravans, but we have got some other sharks in here called California horn sharks. And their spots are used for something different. Their spots are actually camouflage, so they actually do hide when they are using their spots. And this is because where they come from is the coast of California, and they typically hide in like rocky reefs, so they're a bit hard to go through, a bit harder to see, and they are honestly not as pretty as most other coral reefs. So they've got quite a few adaptations to help them out in this area. One of them is actually their coloration. So the coloration means that they can just hide at the bottom, no worries whatsoever. And the black spots do help with this. But also, they look like they've got eyebrows. It's a bit of a weird one, but their eyebrows kind of protect them from any rocks, basically making sure that they can fit in small crevices without having to worry about their eyes getting damaged. But lastly, it's in their name, their horns. So they've got two horns by their dorsal fin, which basically just means that if anything was trying to step on them or eat them, they would get a massive injection from these guys, and yes, it is venomous, which means that they've got that tiny bit more protection if they need it, and typically they don't. Now, thankfully all of these animals are least concerned, so we don't actually have to worry about them, but they still do face threats. So our rays typically worry about coastal development, and our California horn sharks get hunted for sport. And this is for a few different reasons. The reason we get hunted is just because of the fact that one, when you hunt a shark, usually you get a big reputation for it. But also because of the fishing industry, meat, liver, oil, and of course reputation. Because sharks do not have the best reputation, and I'm just going to say it now, they're actually just curious creatures, and they'll leave you alone if they want to. And if they are curious about you, they'll come closer to you, see what you're up to, and then probably leave you be. But with rays, with their habitat structure, because of coastal development, it's kind of a problem for these guys typically hunt very specific foods. Typically this is crustaceans, mollusks, and shellfish, because they've got the teeth very specially adapted for these foods, so that way they can crush it. And with coastal development, it does get rid of those habitats with that food, which means that they can't exactly find the food that they need out of the wild. But it's not all doom and gloom. You guys can help them out, even though they are least concerned, so we're not too worried about that. We still want to make sure that they live their lives, of course. One way that you can help out is if you are ever going on holiday, look into the tourist attractions you go to, so that they don't really negatively impact our environment. And then the ones that do negatively impact the environment won't get as much money from it, which means that they'll have to either abandon it and it can start again with natural life, or they'll just completely demolish it, which means natural life to start again. But with helping out the sharks, you can just simply encourage people that they're actually quite cool and curious creatures. Just kind of get rid of that negative stigma away from them. And if you ever do see any shark hunting, just try and report it and maybe do anything like that, because of the fact that it's not very liked upon identity for many people. Well, I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Our next talk is our Penguin talk at Penguin Bay at 1:30. And other than that, enjoy the rest of the day.